Sky's the limit, man.
Yeah, so pretty much they respectively, Billie Eilish and Shawn Mendes, released their documentaries this year or last year, I can't remember.
Yep.
Sometime recently, and I just remember watching them and being like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Not for the rest of my life, but like eventually this would be this would be very cool to do. It's something I've always wanted to do.
Just like another target in the air, and one day you're going to get there.
Yeah.
And that's what you want to do, right?
Like a big tour would be super, super fun, a big arena or stadium tour.
Yeah.
And then this Eden Park show pretty much was like a one show version of that, which was really cool. Not a huge,
it's like a tester.
Yeah, it wasn't obviously a world tour of all these stadiums, but it was one particular night of that. So I got to experience that for one night, which was really, really special. And I never thought I would be able to do that so quickly after watching those documentaries. I pretty much watched them like 2 months before that.
Wow. Yeah.
And didn't really think about the Eden Park because, I don't know, I was just like, oh wow, like they're doing all of this. Like I wish I could do that. And then all of a sudden, like 2 or 3 or 4 months later, like getting to do that.
Do you feel like you attracted that?
I think naturally from just wanting it. So yeah, in some instances, I guess. One thing I did do was one thing I did do was I actually rewatched the Shawn documentary the night before the Eden Park show. Yeah. To like hype me up again. It was like so late in the night. I don't know why I did it, but it worked.
Yeah. Just to get you in the zone and
yeah, because it's probably one of my favorite music documentaries. Yeah. Visually, that is. So yeah, pretty much just going back to your question, from watching those guys, it allowed me to be like, yeah, I can do it too. If they're doing it, I know I can do it. I just don't know when. Yeah. But that one show experience, I got to get a good taste for it, and I was very grateful for that. Yep. And I just remember at one point during that show, I just kind of like put all the equipment down on all phones and whatnot, and just kind of like looked down, and I was just like, damn, like this is pretty crazy. Cool. Just all those people there, 50,000 or 55 or whatever it was.
Just taking a moment to be.
Yeah. And just basically thinking that, man, this is exactly like what those guys are doing. And this is like pretty crazy how in New Zealand we're getting to do this now. Yeah.
Hello and welcome to The Human Now, where we're discussing ideas around what it means to be in this state of time and, more importantly, making positivity louder. My name is Akash, and today I'm joined by Devan Narsai.
Hey, man.
Yo, man. How's it going?
Good.
Welcome back.
Thanks, man.
Yeah. We've had you. So for those of you who don't know, Devan's been on the podcast before, and we talked about, would have been last year, I think.
Yeah. I can't remember when, maybe late last year.
Yeah. And we kind of talked about the year you had and how you got to working at I Love Ugly. We learned that you're a creative and you're exploring, you're kind of at a point in life where you're just figuring out what you wanted to do. Yeah. Okay, and so this is what I forgot to ask last time before we start. Yeah. And you answered this, but you didn't know what I was asking, so I'm going to ask again.
Yeah. I know.
Do you fold or scrunch?
Fold.
And have you figured out what we're talking about?
I know what you're talking about, but I don't know if you actually meant it in that context. I don't know if you actually meant it in that context.
Oh yeah, for sure, for real. Fold. Sweet, man.
Good to know.
So how you been?
Yeah, good, man. Really good. Yeah. Just it's been good from the time I've seen you. Yeah. The time now I've been doing a few things here and there. I think kind of before we caught up the first time, hadn't had too much going on. Yeah. A few things here and there, I Love Ugly and all that going on. But in between the time I've seen you since then, there's a few other things that popped up. A lot of music stuff. I Love Ugly still going, and then just general life, I guess. But yeah, it's been good. I'm well.
Such a humble guy, man. This guy just casually sitting here like, yeah, I've just been doing a few things.
How about yourself?
Huh? You good? Yeah, man. Like as you can see, the setup's now in place, and
totally
getting back into a rhythm of getting episodes out, and then even just smashing it at work and creating just positive spaces, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, I think just figuring out and aligning more with the purpose.
Yeah.
Learning more about myself and who I want to be and the person I want to be.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's going good. And then, with the podcast, like the reason why I've got you back on is like, I want it to be a space which talks about growth, right? And for me, that means like getting people like you who are going out and doing things. And over the course of the year, you grow and you expand, and like you're not the same person you are from a year before, right?
Totally. Yeah.
So like what I want to do is keep bringing people in and hearing about who you are, how you've changed, what you've learned, as a way to show growth through the podcast.
Sick. Yeah. No.
So yeah, man.
All about it.
Do you want to, where do we start?
I guess I could give a little intro for people that haven't seen the first one or don't know anything about me.
That'd be great.
Yeah, so my name's Devan. I'm from, do you want me looking at that camera?
Let's go to this
camera.
one.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. My name's Devan. I'm 21 years old from Auckland, New Zealand. Born and raised here, still living here. I'm a videographer, photographer, and just general creative, you could say. And yeah, I kind of work in fashion, music, bit of corporate work. Those are the kind of the general fields. And yeah, like Akash was saying, we caught up end of last year, the first podcast, and we're just doing a bit of a catch up now. So update you guys on what's going on. Cool,
man. So the last time we were here, you were talking about possibly taking a year out to, you wanted to go part-time
that's right.
from your full-time gig.
Yeah.
To just explore and figure out what you were doing.
Totally.
Where are you now and what are you doing? Are you still figuring out what you want to do and who you want to be? And
no, that was definitely accurate. I think now I still am trying to figure out what I want to do and what I want to be. I think, from the 6, 7, 8 months we've seen each other, that hasn't changed too much. I haven't really selected one single path and like that's what I want to do for the next 5 years. But definitely kind of just doing the video side of things, a little bit of photos still. So that's still the number one priority. Because that's what I've been heavily involved with, and that's just where the work's been coming in from. So I haven't been turning that away and being like, I don't want to try this anymore. But so still doing that, and that is definitely the main thing. But yeah, so all in all, that's what I've been up to at the moment, just photo video still. And yeah, who knows, at the end of this year, it could be changing to something else. But I think that will always just be something which I will be involved with, like no matter what. So that's what I've been up to. Yeah.
Cool. And do you feel like you've decided to go back into or keep the video and photo going, or is this just like
I think it's
something you just like get pulled in almost like
I think
like
it's
a magnet?
Been a bit of both. Just I guess from the network that I have and opportunities arising in those fields, just being kind of pulled into a bit, but then obviously willingly wanting to do it as well. Not just being like, I hate the stuff I'm doing. But yeah, definitely being willing to do it. And those opportunities just come from the network. So it's been good. It's been good. And obviously with leaving, not leaving I Love Ugly, but just moving away from it a little bit, it's obviously opened me up to like meeting new people in other industries as well. Which has been really cool. And yeah, some other doors opening in those fields as well. So I guess it's just natural to like follow that path at the moment. But yeah, who knows that later in the year it could be up to something else as well. Just leaving all possibilities open at the moment.
Are we allowed to talk about what you've been up to and what you've been doing?
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
Sweet, man. Should we start at the festivals and
totally.
And what was that like?
Yeah, definitely. I think what month did we catch up? Because I think I started working with 660 when we first caught up.
And
early stages maybe.
Yeah, that was just at the very beginning, and I think you were talking about being like in charge of social media and
that's right,
getting on doing that, and then you would be your weekends would be in and out because you'd be at the festivals and just meeting different people and
I don't think there had been any 660 shows at that point, but just general festival stuff. But yeah, I guess since then Yeah, I got the 660 gig, and basically, for those that don't know, I was brought on as a social media manager or marketer or whatever you want to call it, kind of just managing the social side of things. So a little bit different from video photo, but still in the kind of same area, you could say.
Can you just remind us how old you are?
21. Nearly 22.
Isn't it? Don't you think it's kind of like just like what the hell? Like,
definitely.
This is like one of New Zealand's top bands, and the guy who's managing the social media, like,
yeah.
Actually, I don't think it's a surprise, right? Given like where we're heading in terms of technology and
like younger people,
like we like being creative and expressing through these mediums is just a part of who we are in our nature.
It feels like it's just something that's going to become more prevalent as the years go on. But I think in terms of the age thing, definitely have thought about it occasionally, but I think just like within the network, there's so many people I'm working with that are my age.
Yeah.
Or, cool. 20, 21, 22, 23. So it's just like a natural thing. And you always, you are always comparing yourself to those other people, good or bad. So it doesn't always feel that unnatural, so to speak.
Do you ever feel like you're out of your depth?
I think with like certain roles, I think with like certain roles that I've been brought on to do, I don't, because I've done it before.
Cool.
Obviously, in some contexts, like the 661, it's different. Like it's in a music sense rather than like a fashion sense, which what I was doing with I Love Ugly.
Yep.
But the general kind of, social media, same thing, but just for different areas. But what was I saying? Yeah, but no, I don't really feel out of my depth in those instances just because I've had that experience before. But obviously, if it's something new, you're working with new people, you always feel a little bit anxious from time to time. So definitely had that.
Yep.
But always knew that I could do the job. So it's always good to know, I guess. Yeah.
So do you just want to talk about what your role involved and kind of the experiences you've had?
Yeah, totally. So I was brought on for that role, I think around November last year.
Yep.
And around that time, things were pretty slow, just kind of settling in. And I was basically brought on for, I guess like a casual kind of role. So just whenever they needed, it wasn't like a certain, 20-hour, 40-hour week or anything like that. It's just whenever they had something needed me, I'd be there. So I was just slowly getting into it, turning up to specific events that they had. So around that point, I guess they were getting ready for the big 660 Saturday tour that they usually go on most years throughout New Zealand. Just rehearsing and prepping for all of that. And then obviously doing smaller event stuff here and there, just local stuff. So I was, those were kind of like the early stages and getting familiar with the band members and the manager, the rest of the crew as well. And I think one of the first things I did was I was involved with their movie release, which was cool.
I remember seeing that. Yeah,
so that was kind of
Civic Theatre, right?
Yeah, totally. So that was a cool, like, I guess it's kind of just thrust into it like all at once because it was quite a big thing for them. So I like basically flew down to Dunedin like the first weekend I got the gig, and they premiered their movie on the plane,
right?
Because they partnered with Air New Zealand, so they did like a premiere in air kind of experience for like their top fans, which was really cool. So that was the first gig that it kind of all started with, and then following from that there was like the music awards and all that, which was really fun to be a part of. That was actually the same weekend, which was pretty hectic.
It'd been full on.
Yeah, it was like nothing, and like that weekend all at once, Dunedin, Auckland back, music awards, and then after that just rehearsals, I guess, for the shows. And then December pass, and at the very beginning of Jan, I guess New Year's, we flew to Queenstown for RNA. Yep. They performed at RNA for the very first time, which was cool. They'd never performed at RNA, but they have performed at R&V and whatnot. But RNA was definitely new for them, which was really cool. So I got to fly down with them, and I actually was more involved with the video photo side for that stuff, which was really fun. So that was the first show I was involved with them. Yep. And they they basically headlined it and played the midnight show, I guess you could call it.
Yep.
With like fireworks and stuff.
That's right. I remember seeing that on the gram.
Yeah. So that was really cool, really special moment for everyone involved. But yeah, was doing photo video for that. And then after that kind of finished and died down, moved on to 660 Saturdays pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And that basically, they had been rehearsing prior to, January and whatnot, but hadn't had a full setup with, lighting and everything going on. So after this RNA show, they basically moved all their set stuff into Spark Arena.
Right.
And used it as their rehearsal space.
Cool.
So they set the stage up in there.
Yeah.
Set the lights up and like we're programming lights and all of that stuff, which is really cool. Yeah. So they pretty much booked out Spark Arena for like a couple of weeks to like set up the stage in there. Yeah. So it's pretty wild.
Man, that's like taking planning and preparation to like the next level, right?
Yeah, totally. I mean, now that I think about it, there's nowhere else. I mean, there might have been a few little halls and stuff like that, which they could have done as well. But I guess Spark might have just been convenient, I guess.
For the size and the scale of the production, right?
It would have been, yeah. But yeah, so basically a couple of weeks into January, they were just rehearsing, programming lights and stuff in there.
Yep.
And then moved on to the first show straight away, pretty much. So the first show was Waitangi, which was up in Northland area, a bit further up. And yeah, that pretty much kicked off the whole tour from there, which was really exciting. And basically how the shows worked was, it's called 660 Saturday, so they perform on a Saturday. We would go up on the Thursday or Friday.
Yep.
And the crew would be there way before I would get there. Yeah. They would be there Mondays, pretty much the full week sitting on the stage.
This is like the production team which sets up the stage and everything, right? The sound stage and lights and...
Yeah, so the media team and whatnot, we got nothing to do with that. They're pretty hectic on that side of things. They get there really early, but like in terms of media and band members, we kind of all get there Thursday, Friday.
Yep.
And then Friday's kind of rehearsal, sound check day, and then Saturday's a day.
Yeah.
And then fly back Sunday.
Wow.
And that was the first show, and that pretty much was an 8-show. I think it was an 8-show tour.
Yep.
So you had Waitangi, Wellington, Christchurch, New Plymouth, Hastings, a few more.
Just up and down the country.
Yeah, pretty much. And that kind of finished end of Feb, I think. Yeah, end of Feb, early March. Ended with Hamilton, that's right. But that's pretty much how the structure of January to end of February went for me, pretty much every weekend, which was a really special experience. And I think at the beginning, definitely was just super grateful. And then as the shows went on, I guess, got into the routine and got into the rhythm a bit. And then I just remembered at the last Hamilton show, I was like, I just really got to appreciate this because this is the last one.
Yeah.
And I've kind of just haven't thought about it in a while.
Yeah,
so
that's what I wanted to talk about. What was it? Because from the outside, being like, oh my gosh, this is like the coolest thing ever, So what was it like? Did the novelty ever wear off? Or is it something that's always kept you recharged? Or is that not even taken into consideration because your love and passion is for the video?
Yeah, I think it was a good setup. The tour was a good setup because it was every Saturday. Yeah, it wasn't like a show every single day or every second day, which is what a typical tour usually is. You'd go away for a whole month and you have a tour. You have a show every second or third day or every day. And that's exhausting and you would get used to it very quickly. Yeah. And not to say that it's that I wouldn't want to do that or anything, but just it's a different experience. Yeah. So I guess your mindset would just be slightly different. Yeah. But in this instance, it's really good because you're playing these huge shows, 30,000 people kind of shows, but it's every weekend. So maybe not for the crew, but for us, we can kind of get to reset and then go to another one and then reset and then go to another one. So you're always kind of just refreshed, I guess. Yeah. Which is really nice because that means that you can fully enjoy each show as it comes.
Yeah, it's
rather than just being oh, I'm so run down and just kind of want to finish.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like that. It was just like, oh, cool, next one. Sweet, cool, rest up. Okay, next one, cool. So it was a good setup. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's probably a bit more like looking forward to like a football or hockey match at the end of the week, you know, like a weekend sport or...
Yeah. It's kind of like you do one show and then come back and you're like, oh, when's the next one? You're just kind of waiting for it.
Yeah. I was also going to ask, like, how did you like overcome, or what was the experience of being around someone like of their level or their status, right?
Yeah.
What was that like for you?
When I first met the guys, I had, basically taking it way back, how I got the job was through Marlon.
Yep.
One of the band members. I'd met him. We actually do a podcast for I Love Ugly and I met him on that.
Yep.
And that's kind of how this whole job got started. So I knew him prior to meeting everyone else. But then that first, I guess, gig I did with them, that's when I kind of met everyone else. And I was kind of a bit, I wouldn't say starstruck, but just a bit like, whoa, like.
Yeah.
There they are.
I'm here and they're there. And
yeah.
Okay, so it's natural to feel all that. And,
but then I guess like 10 minutes in, it was just like, oh, okay, it's pretty normal.
Normal people.
Yeah. So I guess that wore off pretty quickly. But they're just like normal dudes. So they're not like some big, I guess, Hollywood, like far away person out of reach.
Yeah.
You know, the local New Zealand dudes, pretty humble dudes.
Yep.
So very down to earth and welcomed me with open arms, which was really nice.
Yep.
But the first kind of gig with them, obviously I was a bit nervous and a bit intimidated a little bit, but then slowly got into it and you just become friends with them and it's fine after a while.
And what's the experience like? Because had you been to any of their shows before?
I think I had been to a couple of their shows, but I hadn't been to a 660 Saturday in a while. And I never went to a Western Springs one. Yeah. So I'd never been to like that magnitude.
Yeah.
Like I've been to like I think it was like maybe like a 20,000 one, which is still very big, but you know, not like a Western Springs 50 or something like that.
Yeah.
So, I definitely heard their music and been to a show before.
So what was that like being from like this side of the stage to now being like behind the stage and seeing all of that?
Definitely a unique experience. I think it's quite like emotional because you just see like all these people, and obviously we were kind of the first big shows. I guess it's another topic, but like we're like, when we were playing all these shows, there were basically no one else in the world playing these size shows, which was pretty sad because no one else is playing them, but also quite a fulfilling thing for us to do, and to be one of the first ones, one of the first countries, you know, starting shows back up again of that size. So I think all in all is quite an emotional kind of experience, just in general, not being from that side of the stage or this side of the stage, but just overall. So that was very cool. But in terms of answering your question on being the other side of the stage, it's very unique just seeing like all these people all together packed in this one kind of area all at once. And you just can kind of look at every single person like in their face and just see like the emotion and what they're going through. So I guess you get a first-hand experience on like how live music affects people, which is really cool. Because it's always been something that I've been interested in. Obviously coming from smaller shows, it's been cool just seeing it blow up onto a larger scale, but live music still having the same effect regardless of a smaller show or a larger show. It does the same thing. So that was really cool. I think it'd be cool just if you just wanted to talk about also like you didn't just end up here just by chance. You know, there's been a lot of preparation that's gone into it. Totally. So you want to talk about like all the little shows and things like that, and for sure. Because from I think that's what there's a learning in that, right? Yeah, totally. That you don't just turn up and end up where you have. I mean, obviously people fall into certain places if they know the right people or for whatever instance. But I think those people have obviously done something to get to that point. So I guess for me, I probably talked a little bit about it on the first episode, but just for a quick wrap up, I started shooting. I got into photography a while back, but I first started shooting shows in 2018. So it was kind of the first year out of high school. Have always been interested in music and playing music as well. But that was 2018 was kind of the first instance where I was shooting shows. Power Station was one of the local venues which I'd often like go and shoot at. Just reaching out to artists and international artists, local artists, and shooting from the pit, or hoping to get stage access or backstage, but not always. But just kind of trying your luck, I guess. So doing a lot of those shows, I guess, a couple times a month, whenever I could, whenever there's opportunity. And yeah, I pretty much did that all the way till 2020. So that was a couple years, 2 or 3 years. And then, yeah, I guess landing the 660 gig, obviously in a little bit different context as a social media, but yeah, same principle, I think, general area.
Yeah, I think it's the, like what I wanted to get out of it was that you didn't just like land the gig and
from meeting one person,
you know, it's the preparation and learning of, I need to learn how to actually just shoot, because the shooting styles are all different. And
totally. I think the main thing is just learning like how to build a relationship with an artist, and not just like, I mean, depending on the access that you get, obviously, if it's just like photo pit access and you don't get to talk to the artist, that's totally cool as well. You just take your photos and I mean, just grateful for whatever comes. But if you do get like a backstage or this access or that access, and you have a chance to just talk to the artist, I guess just being their friend, like being like a decent person, just a nice person, and not getting in their way or overstepping, or basically just making them feel comfortable in your presence. Otherwise, no one's going to want you around. Because basically people just want good people around. So if you're a good person and they're comfortable with you, people are going to notice that and tell their friends, or invite you somewhere just as a friend. And that's a lot more valuable than inviting you as a photographer, or as a videographer, or social media person. So I guess that was one of the things, just learning to build that connection with artists or managers or whoever in the industry. And I forgot what we were talking about.
We're talking about like the journey, or the and I think we've covered it. So we can move on. But just recapping, it was about that you didn't just get there from being the social media guy. It's your preparation and your work from before has helped you to do and enable you to do what you've been able to do on the 660 shows. So what I did want to talk about was the road to Eden Park, and like it's always from watching the movie and what 660 are about.
70.
Is that what you guys call them?
No.
So what they are about, I feel like they're always trying to level up on their next thing. You know, they've sold out Western Springs and they've done that twice, and now the next thing is no one's ever played at Eden Park. So let's do that.
Cool.
What was it like for you being on the journey and seeing them, make it to Eden Park?
Yeah, totally. I think, you're pretty bang on with it. I think with them selling out Western Springs 2 years in a row, they obviously wanted to do something different, change it up. No matter like the crowd size, whether they were smaller or bigger or whatever, it was more just about the location, changing it up. But that all happened before, I guess that talk happened before I kind of got on board. That was always kind of circling around. And when I got on board, I remember just them penciling in the 660 Saturday dates. And then like the to be confirmed, and it was initially in like end of Feb or like early March. It was like, this one will be Eden Park, but like don't tell anyone, like it's like a to be confirmed, but it should be going. So just reserve the date. And I was like, oh wow, that's crazy. I won't tell anyone. And then so that was, they were pretty much talking about that for a long time. And I think it all kind of started with Machu. He basically, his grandfather, if I'm correct, played for the Māori All Blacks at Eden Park, and then Marcher himself played a first 15 game at Eden Park as well for Auckland Grammar. So I guess he himself actually wanted to be an All Black when he was younger. So performing at Eden Park was just a natural thing which he wanted to do, regardless of like an athlete or musician or whatever. So just in general, like playing there and having that as a home for a night is pretty special. So I guess I can't talk for the other band members because I haven't heard their experiences, but for him it was pretty special. And I guess he kind of led that decision to playing at Eden Park. But yeah, basically when we finished the last 660 Saturday show in Hamilton, the Hamilton show was pretty much when Auckland went into, what was it, the third lockdown or something?
Yeah, something like that.
Third, fourth, I don't know, whatever one. And we had planned for the Eden Park show to be in March, I think.
Right.
So pretty soon, like 3 weeks away maybe.
Yeah.
Hadn't released tickets yet, but yeah, pretty much holding because of COVID.
Yeah.
But then after that show happened, it was like, definitely didn't announce tickets because we didn't know what was happening. Still wanted the show to go ahead, but didn't know whether it would be March, April, or December even at the end of the year. So just kind of holding off for that. And then obviously as we came out of lockdown, slowly started talking about it a bit more. And eventually like locking in the date and releasing tickets. But actually before that, we had to go, not me, but the manager and everyone had to go through the whole process with the council of allowing shows. And that was a big thing, bigger than 660, just a general music thing. And inevitably, live music won, and they're allowed 6 shows a year now at Eden Park, which is awesome. So there's a good outcome for music in general. But then, again, fast forwarding after the Hamilton show and COVID, I'm locking in the date for our show and being the first show at Eden Park. That was pretty special. So just, I guess, leading the way for all the other music acts this year. And
cool. So I know like Eden Park was huge, and I remember following like on your stories and seeing some of the behind the scenes stuff. What was that experience like for you?
Yeah, totally.
Because seeing you up in the box and behind the stage and on location, all those things, man. No, for sure. I think basically between the Hamilton show and the Eden Park show, there was a lot of waiting around and just kind of anticipation. And to be honest, it kind of felt like some distant thing. When they announced the show, it was like a couple months away, and it was just like, oh, like really cool, but like it's so far away. Like just waiting to see what happens, I guess, especially with COVID. And then as the weeks got closer, you're kind of like thinking about, you're like, oh yeah, Eden Park, that's coming up soon. So start getting ready for that. And I guess on my side, the other guys are already prepping, but yeah. And then obviously the week of the show was when everything started to kick off for me personally. Just, back and forth texts and emails with the manager. And then a couple of days before the show, first headed in. So I think the show was on Saturday, and then I kind of headed in either the Wednesday or Thursday for the first time. And yeah, it was crazy. Like I just remember walking in for the first time and seeing that stage set up in person, and it was just like so bizarre in the coolest way possible. And I guess just seeing it empty, fully empty, and just kind of like anticipating all those people to just pack it out. It was really special to just see it like that in its empty state. And following from that, basically we were just prepping media team and photo video on our side of things. And then obviously crew was still setting up, laying down all the floor works, and the stage was pretty much built by the time I got there. But there's a few, obviously, just little other things that they were working on, just with floor and like scaffolding and all that stuff. But on our side of things, I should probably introduce you to one of our main media team dudes. This guy called Matt Claude. Yeah, man. I'd totally be keen.
Yeah. You should get him on sometime.
Them already.
Yeah. So basically, Matt leads the video and builds the photo side of the photo team as well. But he's mainly a videographer. The main videographer for 660. And basically, the show was not only we weren't only doing content, but we were doing a live stream as well.
That's right.
So yeah, pretty much live streaming throughout the world, particularly the Pacific Islands.
Yeah.
Because they bought the rights for it to be live
streamed.
Live streamed. Yeah, I was trying to find the word again. Live streamed throughout their like public television.
Yeah.
So like our version of TV3, I guess.
Yeah.
So streaming to all those islands, and then obviously we had it on the site called Veeps, which is Veeps is pretty much just like a place where you can stream things and people buy access to the stream.
Yep.
So that was a worldwide, basically a worldwide live stream.
Yep.
So Matt pretty much built the team around that. So we had five photographers.
Yeah.
Not to do with the live stream, but for the media
just on
team.
location and on the set. Yeah.
And then 5 videographers for media / live stream, you could say.
Yep.
And then we had 2 drones. We had a heavy duty drone, and a smaller drone, but still very large. Yep. Called an Inspire.
Yep.
They had been on us the whole tour.
Yep.
But the heavy duty drone was new. It was carrying like a big cinema camera.
I saw that.
Yeah, which is pretty wild.
Epic, eh?
Yeah, so crazy.
We were sitting from where we were sitting, we could see all the, like, every time they'd bring it up and bring it down and exchange and take the next one up, and it's just on rotation the whole night.
The drones changing? Yeah. Yeah, that was pretty wild flying to the same show. But having that going and then having the whole broadcast team, which was an extra 5 or 6 people. So it was the biggest media team for a show I've ever seen or been part of, at least. And yeah, I was pretty much doing socials and some video as well. Pretty much I was shooting Super 8 film, which is pretty weird for some people, but shooting that. And then social media as well. But yeah, going back, Matt Clote is a dude who pretty much organizes all of that. So on the day or before that day at least, he was organizing the team and the equipment and setting up of everything. And a lot of work to go into that, and props to him because he basically figured all of that out. Yep. And I was just assisting wherever needed, wherever possible, being with the band, getting some BTS content. And yeah, they pretty much came in earlier in the week to have a look, and then came in again a couple of days before the show, and that's when I was kind of with them. Yep. Yeah, just looking around, setting up.
Do you want to talk about what it was like being on stage? Because for us sitting there, and I remember Karishma was just like, "It's Devan's up on stage." And then we see it coming across on the screen, and we're like, "Yeah, we made it." Yeah, You know, like when we saw you, what was that experience like, man?
Yeah, that was pretty wild. Basically for that show, I was working with Drax as well as 660. The Drax relationship kind of happened throughout the whole tour. Just kind of eventually became friends with those guys, and they're the coolest dudes ever.
Yep. You shot the video with them too?
Video with them? Yep. Yeah. So I was shooting video for them. Basically a little bit of photo, video throughout the other shows, but for the shows, mainly on video.
Cool.
And yeah, that was a wild experience. I think the onstage thing might have been with Drax.
Yeah, like we saw you on the stage, and what was that feeling like for you?
Yeah, so I think that that would have been with Drax.
Yep.
So they opened before 660, and yeah, I was pretty much shooting video, and basically the content that I needed to get from the Drax set was a couple songs on stage, and then in the photo pit. And it wasn't a super long set. It was like 40 minutes. So you kind of had to hurry up and just be prepped and be ready, because 40 minutes goes pretty quick, even though it sounds pretty long. Yeah. And from being with them from the other shows, we all knew that the last song is like a very hectic, basically the song that gets the crowd like hype the most. Yeah. So that's the part that you want to get on camera, obviously. Yeah. So with that particular one, I knew that I was going to come out on stage and get Sean, because that's when he goes on his sax and just kind of goes off. But I wasn't quite sure where he was going to go.
Yeah.
I just knew like I would follow
So it's just
him.
on the fly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, before the show, I was like, oh, you're going to go out onto the aisle, the runway? And he was like, yeah. Probably just go halfway. And I was like, okay, cool. That's sweet, easy. So I kind of had in my mind, he's going to go out halfway and like go off and then bang, done. And then that song started and I was like recording, cool. And then like I just saw him take off like all the way down to the end. And I was like, okay, well, I'm not going to just stand here. Like obviously I'll have to follow him. So there's nothing went through my mind about like everyone watching or like all of that stuff.
You're just doing.
Yeah, I just went and did it. So I basically followed him all the way out to the basically what they call the B stage.
Yeah.
In the middle of the park. And yeah, he basically went off on the sax and then came back down the aisle and then met with the guitarist and pretty much filmed that whole section. Yeah. Which was really, really cool. And I was just like glad that I hit record because I remember after that, I was going through my footage and I was like, oh, I can't find that clip. Like, hopefully I click record. But then I found it and I was like, oh my God, so glad.
Oh my God, imagine that.
Yeah, because I think what I did was I clicked record stop and then I clicked record, record stop again. So I did like twice. Yeah. So I still captured the whole thing, but there was like a little split in between, which is fine. Yeah. But I just saw the last clip and I was like, oh, because sometimes what happens is you forget if you're actually recording or you're not recording. So like you might be recording, but you think you're not. Yeah. And then you want to record something, so you click record, but it actually stopping a clip. You're like, oh, that's just because when you're running around, you're just, things are so hectic.
The heat of things. Yeah.
Doesn't happen all the time, but for that one, obviously you didn't want that to happen.
That's what I was going to ask is like, how do you mentally prepare for this type of situation where you're going on the stage and there's all these people you know that you're in this limited time frame and you got to get the shot.
Yeah, I think you just have to know the run sheet. So I get a run sheet before the set, which has all the songs on it. And I'm pretty familiar with the songs, whether that's 660 or Drax, just from being on all the shows. So basically you're just taking off mentally in your head the different songs that are finishing, starting. Okay, cool, I need to set up with this lens and this camera for this one. Cool, now this one's finished. Okay, I've got 2 more songs until this one's happening.
So it's almost like a performance for yourself.
Pretty much, yeah.
Like your own show.
On my phone I have, I'll just delete some notifications. Basically, I still got it on here. This is a 661. Should I point it at a camera?
Yeah.
Cool, this one. You probably can't see it unless you like zoom in heaps. I could like go up right to the camera.
Go up to that one. Because that one will autofocus itself. Maybe if you drop the brightness on it, on your all good. But basically, are you able to send me that and then I can just pop it up on the screen for the visual? Yeah, that'd be cool, man. That's smart.
We'll pop this on the screen for you. But basically, I just have the run sheet. This is a 661 in particular. Yeah. But if you're looking at it right now on the screen, basically it has like a set list of all the songs, and then it has the moments that they're going to do something. Yeah. And then where each photographer needs to be, video, and then key locations where everyone needs to be.
Cool.
For the Drax one, we didn't have it that detailed, but I kind of made a mental note in my head. Yeah. Because we had 2 guys. Yeah. Not 15, like 660, but I guess pretty much just knowing where you need to be at the right time for each song. Yeah. And I would always check it on my phones on the lock screen just because it's easy access. You just open it up.
It's right
check,
there.
Bang, turn it off.
Yeah, that is smart, man.
Yeah. So when you get a notification, you need to swipe. But I just turn my Wi-Fi off. Yeah. But all in all, I guess that's pretty much how you film or photograph a set, just knowing where to be. Otherwise, you're just going to miss key moments. Yeah. But the important thing is knowing the song, because if you don't know the song, it's very hard to keep track of it. Yeah. You just have to count. So it's like this song's done 1 and 2 and 3. Okay, there's a 4th one now. Yeah. But if you know the song, you're like,
you know what the next one's going to be.
You don't even really need to look because you just know.
How does this experience of you shooting and being at this moment of your life, How do you think about like what you can do in the rest of your life, or like
Totally.
how does that change your trajectory or perception of where and who you want to be?
Yeah, I think going back a bit, I obviously always had an interest with like shows, and I'd always been inspired by a few key photographers and videographers who shoot for particular artists. I can name a few. So one is particularly this guy called Matty Vogel.
Yeah.
He's Billie Eilish's photographer.
Yeah.
And I actually got a chance to speak with him on FaceTime during the COVID period, which was really cool. He gave me some advice.
Yeah.
And then another guy is this guy called Connor Brescia, which is Shawn Mendes' videographer.
Yeah.
And those are kind of two guys which I've like always looked up to, photo, video sense. And Connor's actually 21 himself.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which is crazy. So he's pretty much Shawn Mendes' personal videographer and creative director now, actually, which is pretty crazy.
Wow.
Yeah. So
sky's the limit, man.
Yeah. So pretty much they respectively, Billie Eilish and Shawn Mendes released their documentaries this year or last year. I can't remember.
Yep.
Sometime recently, and I just remember watching them and being like this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Not for the rest of my life, but like. Eventually, this would be this would be very cool to do. It's something I've always wanted to do.
Just like another target in the air, and one day you're going to get there.
Yeah,
and that's what you want to do. Right?
Like a big tour would be super fun. A big arena or stadium tour.
Yeah.
And then this Eden Park show pretty much was a one show version of that, which was really cool. Not a huge,
it's like a tester.
Yeah, it wasn't obviously a world tour of all these stadiums, but it was. One particular night of that. So I got to experience that for one night, which was really, really special. And I never thought I would be able to do that so quickly after watching those documentaries. I pretty much watched them like 2 months before that.
Wow. Yeah.
And didn't really think about the Eden Park because, I don't know. I was just like, oh, wow, like they're doing all of this. Like I wish I could do that. And then all of a sudden, like 2 or 3 or 4 months later, like getting to do that.
Do you feel like you attracted that?
I think... naturally from just wanting it. So yeah, in some instances, I guess. One thing I did do was I actually rewatched the Shawn documentary the night before the Eden Park show.
Yeah.
To like hype me up again. It was like so late in the night. I don't know why I did it, but it worked.
Yeah. Just to get you in the zone and
yeah, because it's probably one of my favorite music documentaries.
Yeah.
Visually, that is. So yeah, pretty much just going back to your question, from watching those guys, it allowed me to be like, yeah, I can do it too. If they're doing it, I know I can do it. I just don't know when.
Yeah.
But that one show experience, I got to get a good taste for it, and I was very grateful for that.
Yep.
And I just remember at one point during that show, I just kind of like put all the equipment down on all phones and whatnot and just kind of like looked down and I was like, damn, like this is pretty crazy.
Cool.
Just all those people there, 50,000 or 55 or whatever it was.
Just taking a moment to be.
Yeah. And just basically thinking that, man, this is exactly like what those guys are doing. And this is like pretty crazy how in New Zealand we're getting to do this now.
Yeah. What is something that from the last time we met to everything you've been through and experienced, what is something that you've learned? Or how do you think you've grown as a person?
I think for growing as a person, I think kind of going off what I said before about building relationships.
Yeah.
I think during high school, like I definitely like didn't talk to a ton of people. I mean, I wasn't like super introverted or anything, but it was just like talk to people I needed to talk to and then go home.
Yeah.
But like slowly moving out of high school and then first year uni and then the whole story about leaving uni and then moving on to Isle of Ugly and all those experiences up until now has, I guess, developed the way I talk to people and like relationship building and just being a friend and being a good work partner.
Yep.
And that whole experience and just learning how to be a good person, I guess.
Yeah.
And talk a bit more and share experiences, and knowing that people want to hear what you have to say.
Yeah.
And being able to listen what another person has to say. So pretty much learning how to talk and grow relationships has been one thing I've learned. I think another thing is just working towards what you want, but not expecting it to come instantly.
Yep.
So like Gary Vee talks about it a lot. I know everyone's like very opinionated about Gary.
Yeah.
And like he's a very hardcore dude.
Yeah.
I love him sometimes and then I hate him sometimes.
Yep.
But like for the most time he's a cool dude.
Yeah.
But one thing he says often is pretty much like work hard like now, work hard in the moment, but don't expect anything to come quickly. Like it will take a while to come.
Yep.
He has a certain terminology for it, but I can't remember that term.
Harry, would you know?
Yeah, do you know it? It's basically like where you go hard right now,
yep.
But you don't expect anything right now.
Yeah.
So I guess that's the way I kind of looked at things, is just, you know, shooting shows, or not even music related, but just life in general, whether that's like exercise or sports or
yep.
or shooting something different like fashion. Just shooting as much as you can, building certain relationships, just growing as a person, but not expecting to get anything in return instantly.
Yep.
But eventually, hopefully knowing that later down the track, whether that's a month or 2 years, something will come from it.
Yep.
Just pretty much keeping at it. So basically having, I think that's it. It's like short-term, I forgot the word. It's like long-term patience.
Yeah.
But short-term
hustle or work.
Yeah.
Or,
yeah. Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Something like that. But those are probably the two things that I've grown from way back to now. Yeah. And pretty much just being yourself. Just if you have something to say, just talk about it with someone. And there's always like, if you're interested in something, because I remember in high school, like being interested in like photo and video, there were a few people kind of doing it. I went to Auckland Grammar and it was a very academic school. Nothing bad about it, but just different.
Yeah.
It wasn't necessarily like I didn't feel like it fostered a lot of creativity.
Yep.
I definitely don't owe any of like my creativity from that school. Maybe academics wise.
Yeah.
Amazing school, but just not the creative school. But basically I just remember being there and like they'd always get like alumni and who's like, you know, does law, like a doctor, and those are very noble professions. But like at the time I wasn't too interested in doing something around that area. I definitely loved business. So business was something I was still interested in. But there was obviously like the creative side, and there's basically not many people that are bringing in creatively or that I knew were like old grammar boys who were doing something in the creative field. So I just remember like being, if I could be that guy that'd come back and like foster that creativity with someone else, that'd be really cool. So basically, like just this year I've just been thinking like, oh man, like it's pretty crazy. Looking back a few years, if I was that kid looking at the person now, that'd be pretty cool to see like someone who's doing that stuff, like working in more of the creative scene for video, photo. But yeah, so just basically what I was trying to say there was that if you're in school and like you don't find a particular group or think that anyone else is doing it, there's always someone else doing it. It's just not maybe in your particular circle at the moment. Yeah. But when you branch out, there's like basically groups for everyone, a scene for everyone, like whether you're an artist or an academic or whatever, sports.
You just got to ask as well and look.
Yeah, find your group. You'll find your like scene eventually.
Yeah.
Just maybe not in that particular circle that you're in at the moment.
Yep.
Yeah.
Cool, man. And before we wrap up, I just wanted to ask, is there anything that you wanted to talk about or you feel like we've missed, or anything you wanted to ask?
Not at the moment. No.
Cool.
Good.
So last time you were on, you said for you what it meant to be human was to just love what you do and communicate the emotion and the story, and whatever you do, just do it. Mm-hmm. Is that still the same, or has that changed for you? To be human.
Yeah, I guess it's changed. It's the same, but with a slight twist, I guess you could say.
Yep.
For me, yeah, like being human is basically doing something that you love.
Yep.
But also being open to like other things that come up as well.
Cool.
So I think working hard for what you want, being open to possibilities. But I think also a main thing that I didn't really talk about in the last one was like just relationships, which I talked about a lot in this episode.
Yeah.
And just like realizing like the people you work with or the people you surround yourself with is really important, because those shared experiences is like something else. It's something that you can't share with anyone else because you've shared with those particular people, like whether it's like a tour for me or a particular event or a sports game, which I play. Just cherishing those shared experiences with people and making the most of them is a human thing to do.
Yeah. And then the last time you said for you, what it meant to be now was to like pretty much make a decision and do something about it.
Yeah.
Do you feel like that's the same, or has it changed?
Yeah. Sorry, I just stopped one sec.
Yeah, no, it's all good. I can ask that again as well.
Cool. Yeah, that would be good actually.
Nearly there.
Is that all good?
Yeah, man.
How long has that been?
Nearly an hour.
Cool.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Good time.
Sweet. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, you can repeat that. I'm all good.
So the last time you were on, you asked, when I asked you what it meant to be now, you said that it was about making a decision and then acting on it. Is that still the same, or has that changed for you?
I think that's the same.
Yeah.
I think it's basically not living in like an in-between state, but just choosing one thing, doing that if it's not working or if it's not what you want, or just switching.
Yeah.
But not living in like a no man's land kind of thing. Or just being like, until this happens, then this will feel good, or then this will be of relevance, but instead just choosing something and then just choosing to enjoy whatever it is right now and switching if you want to switch, pretty much. Yeah.
Don't stay and stick around for too long in something you're not enjoying, because what's the point? You're only going to delay that decision. And I think that's what you said last time as well. Don't delay it. Rather, if it's not working and you know it and you feel it, change it up.
Yeah, totally.
Sweet, man.
Cool.
Thank you so much for coming along. And,
no worries.
And I know Devan's not feeling the greatest today, but he turned up and he gave us his time and presence and energy. And so I appreciate that as well. And yeah, man, I'd love to get you back on in a year's time and see how you've grown even more. Yeah, totally. You know, we would love to see your progression. I know the conversations I have with Perry, with Karishma, every time it's like, oh, do you see Devan's doing this? Devan's doing this. So for real, man, like I love watching your journey and what you're doing and where you're going, and we'll be supporting you the whole way. Cheers. I appreciate that. Thanks for having me. No worries, man. That's us. I know that, oh man, it's inspirational, you know, to know that we are around people who are just doing what they love, you know, and also being okay with changing things up and just figuring it out. Because from when we talked last time to today, you're still figuring it out. Yeah, I didn't think you ever figured it out. That's completely okay. But at the same time, it's not that you've just sat still and you're figuring it out. Waiting. You're moving, you're doing things, and when it fits, it fits. Otherwise, like you said, you just get up and change it up. So totally. So thank you for being that for us in our life and doing what you're doing. Sick. Thanks for having me, man. No worries. Cheers. I want to thank for you as well for tuning in, whether you're watching, whether you're listening. We hope there is something in here that you've benefited from, or that you've just learnt or felt inspired by. And we only ask that if you feel like there is someone else who could benefit from what we've talked about, that you just pass it on and share it on to them. With that being said, until next time, be human, be now. Done, man. Cheers. Yo, that was solid. Dope.